Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers podcast. A group of friends gather together to share music with each other, and then we each talk about what we think of that music. It's like a little book club for music, just friends sharing, sharing what they like, sharing what they're curious about. I'm Petey Rave, your man with no plan. Here with me, of course, is my team, my squad, my crew. We have Brett.
Ahoy, hoy.
We've got Drew.
Who are you calling friends?
I was about to say that too, Drew. Kindred spirits.
And we've got Patrick.
I have friends?
No.
So to speak. Kind of. We're here to talk about music. And we have a guest. It's that time again in the cycle where we have a guest. We have a friend over here in the center column. If you're watching the video. But we have our friend Becky, aka Giggleloop. Hey, Becky.
Hi. Hi, friends.
I was waiting for Patrick to say hi, and I was going to tell him he can't do that.
No, I'm not allowed. I know.
But
I know. I'm used to it.
My shtick isn't working tonight.
No new friends. Of course, for her first time, this is his first time. Our tradition holds that she pick her own album, bring something to the group. Becky? What are you going to present to the Midnight Society tonight?
Well, I had a lot of thoughts about this, and I had actually a list that I was going through, but I narrowed it down, and I decided that for my first pick, for my first appearance on Record Breakers, that I would go with something that has brought me a lot of joy this year, and that would be the album Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Mm-hmm. Let's kind of go. Brett, I'm curious. What expectations did you have coming into this album?
I knew more about the person than the musician. Before listening to this album, I don't know if I had ever listened to an entire song, but like I spend a lot of time north of the border, and a lot of this stuff I have since figured out that, hey, I've heard this stuff before while sitting in a stadium or in a shopping mall or something. But not here stateside. I don't have any exposure to any of this kind of music really, except for in this lovely little exercise that we're doing. But yeah, I was like, I knew what I was getting into. I knew that she is the one. What brought us? Call Me Maybe. But I'd only heard like the hook ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I knew about the same level as Brett about this artist. I knew Call Me Maybe. I knew that usually when I was trying to get your friend and mine, the Lord Nikon, to play video games, I would usually try to use some sort of hook that ended with a Call Me Maybe, and then he would get very angry with me. That's about the level of Carly Rae Jepsen I knew. And that song is used more as an annoyance for me, so I was sort of apprehensive coming into this record. But I knew less than Brett, because even coming into this, I've never heard anything else but that. So,
really,
yes,
really. Yes.
Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
So I'm gonna surprise everyone. I fucking love this record, and I have since it came out. I, on a whim and suggestion of I don't remember who, possibly friend of the podcast, Bryce, I know he loved it, just listen to this album, because that's the thing you do when you have a streaming music service where you can listen to anything. And I have a soft spot occasionally for pop music, and this one just... It is full of joy, and it was my summer jams of 2015, and I still go back and listen to it. It is the guiltiest of guilty pleasures, but it's, yeah. And I haven't spent as much time with the rest of Miss Rae Jepsen's catalog, but I have spent a lot of time with this record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about this album because it's a very cool, interesting album. I have to say, I'll talk about my expectations. My expectations were a little bit low, but not.
Why would
not
that be,
over-
Petey?
No, no, not low. Okay, my expectations were lacking, and I didn't know much about it. Of course, I'm not going to be here to judge pop music because I listen to pop music.
No, we're
all
here
the
to
time.
talk about pop.
Doo wop, bop bop, shoo wop.
Pop music.
Talk about.
But yeah, I didn't know what exactly what to expect, but I was eager. But let's talk about this album musically. Becky, Giggleloop,
Yes.
my friend. How would you describe this album musically? What would be like the themes and elements?
So, for me, like, I know that it's a tendency for a lot of people to, I guess, bag on pop music because it's just fluff and it's just, popcorn and whatever, and it's not deep
like
and
popcorn.
meaningful and whatever. But I think 2017 for me was like the year that I embraced my love of pop music more than I ever have before because, when everything else is garbage, pop music is like the thing that is, cheers me up and keeps me going and everything else. So I know this album came out in 2015.
I find Shirley Manson cheers me up sometimes. So
Yeah. I know this album came out in 2015, but I didn't listen to it until like January of this year. And I think it was probably also Bryce or maybe a McElroy or something that got me to listen to the album all the way through. Like I had heard of Carly Rae Jepsen, but I'd never actually listened to any of her music other than
Bryce wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Other than Call Me Maybe just because that was everywhere and inescapable. But yeah, I finally sat down and listened to this whole album all the way through and I loved it. I listened to it all the time. It's one of my most played albums of this year, definitely. Just because, it's so cheerful. Like it just brings me so much happiness and so much joy and I can't even there aren't words to describe how much it boosts me when I really need it. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
So,
Brett, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes and elements?
Well, like a lot of modern pop and a lot of popular music, not that sort of straddles genres. Like anything since 2014 has sort of used the 1980s formula of like adding, your yacht rock instruments, like the tones that you're familiar from, like you get your your Hall & Oates guitar tone every now and then. Like it's kind of weird because like we had two back-to-back albums that both had similar but completely different. But yeah, it's
on the 80s.
Yeah, it's and like for like the last probably half of the last 10 albums we've done have been heavily influenced by your Hall & Oates and your your like late 80s Wilson Phillips type sounds. But we hardly ever get to review a straight pop album. Normally our album, the stuff that gets brought here is like poppy rock or like poppy hip hop or something from Korea. That's poppy. So like it's so like I came in expecting like the vocals to take the front row in the mix of this album, like to be like way out in front and this to be like the like a big voice album, and I was happy to see that like there's way more instrumentation than I expected to be in the front of the mix, and it's like most pop albums, it's mixed like a dance record, like it's got a lot of dynamics to it. It also has a sproing. Everybody loves my sproings.
What's the scoring of this record? I was interested, actually.
Well, let me explain what a sproing is. A sproing, CeeLo Green, once upon a time, like had an album, and he had like a reverbed out.
An album.
Well, it was the album, and
the one.
And he put when he in his production, and since we listened to the Outkast record, that also he had a hand in sproing it up. But there's noises, like this weird one-off sound, like it only happens like once in a song, and for the CeeLo, it was a spoon that was reverbed out. On this album, it is one of my favorite things in the world. It is a woman's voice who is artificially deepened. That it doesn't sound like a man, it doesn't sound like a human, but whether it's from the Haim album that did a similar thing where it's like, you can't actually replace a bassy voice with a woman who's been like with today's technology they're used, but like I think it's one of the greatest things ever. It's like I think every female fronted band should have at least one song for like 5 words. All they do is just lower it down 2 octaves and it sounds so weird. But yeah, that I'm a fan of the weird, and there is some weird that was brought here, but most of it was like, it was pop. Yes, it is bubble. It is not very deep. You're not solving the world's problems. You're solving one person's world's problems, I guess. But
that's an excellent way to put it. I love that.
That problem is I want to sell a record.
Yeah. And Hall & Oates. Man, that mustache joke I made last week was amazing. We're talking about this album. Drew. Speaking of mustache joke, Drew.
Man,
what were the themes elements that caught your attention? Well, how would you describe this album musically?
With this mustache bullshit. Assholes.
Hey, well, you have a nose neighbor. We're gonna talk about it.
Talk about pop music. So, right. I knew we were going into this album, and like we've said before, especially around these times, we tend to double up a little bit. I picked mine not knowing what we were getting into with this one, because holy cow, is the 80s mall pop dripping all over this record. Holy cow. This is like Tiffany, Debbie Gibson, Wilson Phillips level, like mall pop. It is a singer-heavy record, because it is a singer, it is a name. But like Brett said, there is some really cool instrumentation in the background. But it always does allow her voice to sort of spring out, which I think is really, really cool. And that's the thing, is that it is a bubblegum pop record. It's a bit bap at a time, sure, and that's what it is. But it's the style of it, the danciness of it, is what goes through here. The sort of synthy melodies, the effects that they put on that backing music, I think was really cool and lent to this like very stylish sort of music that's in the backdrop that is becoming more and more apparent in pop music these days. And I think personally I dig that, if it's not obvious already. I think I brought Outrun, and then
you brought Chromeo long ago.
Yeah,
Chromeo. Yeah, if it's not obvious that like a little bit of new wave can go a long way with me, that's obvious. I forget, we're putting this up in like a week. So a few weeks ago,
breaking the fourth wall there.
I put out. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like our timeline over Christmas, because Christmas is dumb. I love Christmas, but it also is dumb for scheduling literally anything. But I put out a tweet that said I had to apologize because, god damn it, like I came in to here being like, I'm gonna be the guy that's like dumb pop music, blah blah blah. Man, I was dancing in my seat. God, fucking, like it's a fun record, like, and that's just, you go into it, like was said before, it's a bubblegum pop record. It's a popcorn movie. It's the Expendables. You're not thinking a whole hell of a lot.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
If Carly Rae Jepsen was in the next Expendables, how great would that be, though?
Yes, nothing says action movie like a slim, tiny Canadian girl. You know, that's ass kick right there.
Look, man.
Yeah.
Look, but like
the bad guys will never see it coming.
That's right.
This is
the
true.
last one you suspect.
Power of the true north.
How do you think the best femme fatales work? They don't work off of pure strength.
I mean, just think of this scene,
and then all of a sudden you're stabbed in the throat. It's like, fuck.
just Just think of the scene where she's got dual pistols flipping through the air while Call Me Maybe's blasting in the background.
Yeah. I want to see her dual pistols riding Terry Crews's shoulders as he has like a shotgun. Like that would be stupid. But I like that movie. You just gotta realize, like, at a certain point, like, no, just sit back and like it is what it is. Like it was fun.
Patrick, well, how would you describe this album musically?
So we sort of alluded to, like, pop music is, like, for music nerds, the problem with a lot of pop music is that it feels really inauthentic. It feels really, really created in a laboratory, and some of that can be good, but like it's why it has a stigma amongst, you know, a bunch of, you know, former music punk and metal kids and music snobs like us. The thing I like about this record, yes, it's poppy, yes, it's polished, but there's an authenticism to it. Like, the songs are about, like, very relatable things. You know, they're dumb teenage girl things, but, like, they're relatable. They're timeless. I think sound wise, there is a lot of mall pop, but I think there's a lot of, like, Cyndi Lauper, where there was kind of more going on than the equivalent stuff around it. It isn't, I'm not saying this is the most deep poetic thing ever, but, like, this is really well crafted pop music. Like, they gave a shit. Somebody fucking tried. You know, effort was made. This isn't just a drum machine, you know, a Nord lead, you know, 73 key and, you know, Pro Tools. Like, people played instruments on this record. People programmed really cool, you know, reverbed out 80s drums because they wanted it to sound like the drums from Jack and Diane. I'm cool with that. That's a clever song that, like, stuck around forever. But it's really fun. I think Carly Rae Jepsen's voice is underappreciated. She doesn't do, like, all, like, the vocal gymnastics hand wavy shit, but, like, it's really nice. The thing that I think, you know, going back to, like, Call Me Maybe, which is a song I also loved for no reason, it had a really, really good vocal melody on the chorus. Like, it wasn't exactly what, like, most pop songs have, like, a really predictable vocal melody on the chorus because they want you to sing along. And there's a couple songs on this where she does some stuff on like the hook that, like, is not the first thing you would think of. It is, you know, doing something a little bit different. And that's, I think, what sets this apart from a lot of modern pop music.
Yeah, I think a lot of it works. And I think ultimately a lot of it, when it is that pop music effort, but it isn't trying to relive the one thing that, you know, it has a lot of strengths to it. I think the weakest part's probably when it tries to reenact what happened with Call Me Maybe. Probably it's probably its weakest points, and I think its strength is everywhere else. But let's talk about those key points, because let's talk about some of the key tracks. Becky, what would be some of the key tracks here on this album?
Well, for me, I love almost every single song on this album, and obviously, like, the big one is going to be "Run Away with Me," the first track, because when it just kicks in at the beginning with that saxophone, it's like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm here for this, absolutely, 100%. Like, that song and the driving beat of that song, like, that's the song I listen to when I go and take a walk, because it has a rhythm that I can walk to, and I'm just like, it's getting me moving, getting my heart pumping and stuff like that. And, like, I can't not sing along to it. Like, I can't listen to it at work because I will sing at my desk, which I can't do. So, I love that song so much. The other highlights for me, I think, are Emotion, just because I also really like what that song does. Let's Get Lost is, like, another song that I can't not sing, and it's just I don't know. It just makes my heart soar. I don't know what to tell you. I sound like a dork. And And then the reason that I wanted us to listen to the deluxe edition is because my other two favorite songs are tracks that are only on that, which is I Didn't Just Come Here to Dance, which is also a great pop dance song that I absolutely love. And then my favorite song on the entire album is Favorite Color, which is the last track. Because again, like that on both words, there's an OU. Because, like, honestly, the just the way that song is mixed, the way that the vocal is mixed on it, and the way it just kind of blossoms when it hits the chorus. Like, literally, I mean, it's all my ASMR triggers are from music. Like, I don't get it from anything else, and that makes my like skin tingle and my hair stand up on the back of my neck every time, like without fail.
You know, there are people that don't have that happen to them. You're one of the lucky people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and like I know, I'm one of those people that grew up listening to pop music. Like I grew up listening to Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and Paula Abdul and Janet Jackson. So like I know this album doesn't like reinvent the wheel of pop music, but it takes all of the best things of that music and like it leaves all the crap behind, and like it's the good parts of all of that music, and that's why I love it so much.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, I really like you. This is the only song off of this album that I think I have ever heard before. After show, But we'll also have to talk about our guest appearance by my wife putting beer in my fridge behind me. But I didn't know
if that was what you were laughing at or my dumb joke in the side chat.
Yeah. The I Really Like You is the only song that I think I've heard outside of like this. It is also something that I've heard the hook of many times. Where they cut the reelies out and they put a certain French man that we kind of know. It's very earwormy. It follows the pop hit playbook. It's very polished. It borrows a lot from a lot of places, but it doesn't quite steal from others. All that, Lori Beth, Keenan Kell, Amanda Bynes, everybody loves all that. All that they robbed the keyboard from Parliament. The one for Make My Funk the P Funk. It is that keyboard tone. And yeah, Parliament. I had a Canadian joke there, but I missed it. But yeah, there's sparse use of like bass pops and like the Hall & Oates jangle upstroke, and they've got like some digi drums that are kind of neat that add quite a bit to it. Like there are a lot of songs on this album that like really they made me want to go and dig out like where did this come from? What is this piece? What is borrowed? And I kind of didn't want to like once I started going there, I didn't really want to dig too much farther. But they're like I want to judge this by its parts because music is something everybody borrows everything. Every minor pentatonic lick that's ever been played by a blues guy got stolen and played by a rock and roll guy, and still is today. So I wanted to judge this, but I really enjoyed how the song LA Hallucinations had some crazy harmony, but then also sounded almost exactly like a Lady Gaga song that we reviewed here off of the album Art Pop. Like there are a lot of things that are, and those are contemporary albums. Like they were going on at this. Like I don't know who got like the memo that says like when we're producing albums, we need them to sound like this, and this, and throw in the digital wood block and put reverb on it, and then like drizzle delay on everything. But yeah, there's a lot of songs on here. They all sort of are kind of like some of them are more like shake your butt kind of songs. But it does go some places. It's not all just radio hits. But you could probably go down the list of every single song and pick out something cool. But those were the ones that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'm going to skip the Record Breakers thing. I'm not going to do the first track because I want to do the second track. Emotion. You name the record after a track. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You name the record after a track, that track better hit well. And I think this one does. It's something that, like we've said, sort of almost ad nauseum at this point, but you put this in that mid-late 80s, early 90s, like girl mall pop singer thing. Like this, if you were putting like now that's what I call hits of what this would sound like, and Wilson Phillips was like the next track, I would not be super surprised. It's that kind of milieu, and I'm super okay with it. Making the most of the night. The bass in that is super cool. It's like super thick low end stuff. The like sort of overly crazy synths in the chorus that sort of drop out for the contrast in the verse, I think was really, really neat. And I asked two of you the other night on Twitter, again, dating this, when, like, if there was any, like, vaporwave remixes of this album, and it was specifically when I decided that When I Needed You was one of the tracks that I needed to talk about. Because, holy crap, like, that, it already sounds like a vintage, like, commercial to me, and it's super weird, and I'm super cool with that. And if, like, nobody's made a vaporwave track of that, I need to talk to Leonimus and see if he can, like, do some, like, crazy remix of that, because super my aesthetic.
I did do some searching, and I ended up just searching how many of these songs were done by Kids Bop, and that was none, and I was kind of heartbroken. But that's
they still make those, though? That's the question.
They sure do.
You still crank that shit out?
Yes.
Fuck.
As far as I'm aware.
Hey, parents, do better. Do better for your kids.
Hey, I like hearing songs about banging sung by kids under 12 years old. Like that I find that entire market of like, we're going to slightly clean up songs and have children sing them a funny thing. But no, it is not vaporwave. Now, vaporwave, kids bop. Those are two great tastes that taste great together. I will look for you. If not, I will make it for you.
Find children and then like.
No, I'm gonna artificially like. I'm gonna unmanly my voice by using. I'll make Hatsune Miku make all of the children's voices.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, this is
chorus.
Vapor Miku, like is that?
Like
vocal
everything.
Vaporloid. A Vaporloid.
Vaporloid. Oh my god. Somebody can make a Vaporloid plugin. That would be dope.
No,
we're getting way off to the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, we already found it.
Let me. I gotta write it down. I gotta write it
mail
down.
Mail it to yourself.
Put it in an envelope. Mail it to myself. Yeah. So nobody can steal. Yeah. Original content. Like, do not steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came up with a music genre here called snorecore, and I think that's just one of many things that we're going to do here with the Record Breakers Foundation.
Snorecore.
Using audio of PD sleeping, but yeah.
I don't even know if Giggleloop has slept in the same room as me.
If she has, she would have heard you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think so.
Yeah, no, not in any of like the Dragon Cons or anything. No, you haven't
we had to have a special room for PD to sleep in my house. We had to put him in the snore room.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Carly
Rae Jepsen's pretty great, isn't she?
Yeah.
All right,
talk about sleep.
Patrick. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
The lead single, I really like this song. I really like you. It is yes, trying to do the Call Me Maybe thing of having like a super catchy dumb chorus, but also it does it in the same way that made that song so much fun. Is like it's very bubblegummy. It's very kind of like the right kind of throwback to the 80s, but like the execution's perfect and the vocal melody on the chorus just does it for me. It was very much the song of the summer for me 2 years ago. Like, one of those dumb things that like is fun to blast in your car with the windows down.
I'm picturing this.
Yes, 100%. Yellow Mustang. This.
That's the Mustang makes it.
The Mustang makes it.
Yeah.
With the like a sound system that you can hear from a mile away.
Yeah. I bet your neighbors loved you.
Oh yeah, I lived rurally. They didn't fucking hear me. Boy Problems. Another really good pop song. Slap and pop bass line, really good. Another fun chorus. There's really, really nice the way she doubles her vocals and harmonizes them. It's very nice and pleasant in the way that pop music can make you feel good. It does the right things. Making the Most of the Night. I don't know why I love that song so much. It's less sing along than a lot of the rest of the record, but it's also like still super catchy. Got a good chorus. It's very like 80s synth pop, which is something I love. And we've done actual 80s synth pop and also a lot of stuff very influenced by it. And I'm sort of in the same boat as Becky. There's a lot of other songs on this I could talk about, but I will leave it to those three for now.
Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, I think that I really Like You and Boy Problems are the weakest songs on this album.
They're the poppiest. They're certainly the poppiest.
I think that they're so much better. I also want to give love to Warm Blood, which I really like. It's a really good song. It's just something that's really cool about that and the mood of it. But yeah, the songs you've chosen, pretty great. But like, yeah, Warm Blood is I think worth noting. Let's bring it back around the horn. Talk about some conclusive thoughts. Brett, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
I don't really find myself listening to a lot of pop music these days. I really don't find myself listening to as much music as I used to anyway, because I live in an office. And there probably would be albums that I would never have listened to if it weren't for you jackanapes making me listen to stuff. But this was something, this was like, yeah, there you are, Drew. You're not the worst. You're not the worst. But no,
I'm sorry, that was me.
But I enjoyed my time listening to this album. I'm glad I experienced it. I'm glad that now I know, and knowing is half the battle. But is this going to end up in my normal rotation of music? Probably not. Is it going to be? Is it going to be something that I'm going to probably listen to in 20 years and like giggle about and like annoy people with? Probably, if I'm around. But it's well-meaning. It's inoffensive. There are some stuff we've listened to that was offensive. But this was not it. I give it a thumbs up, but I probably won't be visiting it anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Every time I'm like sort of almost dreading a record because I thought, okay, well, this is going to be exactly what I think it is, like whatever, like I'm done. A lot of times I end up coming out of the record saying, okay, I get it. We mentioned Lady Gaga in our review of Art Pop. I think you can hear my thoughts on that one. But it was essentially the same. This is way better than I went into it thinking it was, and it might end up in some of the songs might end up, like I said, in a rotation, because it's something I can throw on in the background. It's fun, and it's not going to bother me. It's not going to take my attention away, but it's also going to be a fun listen. And a lot of times when I'm working on stuff, that's what I like. So, hey, it's super worth a listen if you're into weird dance pop. That's okay sometimes.
When you're putting snowies on your 300 ZX to go down to Timmy's to get you an ice cap, it's something to put on.
Yeah. Patrick, what would be your conclusion on this album?
I was so happy that Becky picked it because I haven't listened to it in a minute, and I was happy to have an excuse to spend some time with it again. This is good pop music. It is proof that sometimes pop music is worth your time. It is worth accepting some of the music snob, point loss to go listen to it. It's really enjoyable. I think even if I think this is one of those albums that get out of your comfort zone if this is out of your comfort zone and give it a shot. This is, I think, worth stretching for, worth, trying.
Yeah. There's a lot to really like about this album. There's a lot to really enjoy. Like I enjoy the 80s influence. I enjoy the 80s pop. And of course, like, this is musically, I'm familiar with a lot of these sounds because basically this is 2016 K-pop. Like if you kind of look it down, and yeah, this album, and you can understand the timeline. Of course, this album came out in 2015, so with K-pop, everything's kind of in a delay. To that point, one of the songs that was recorded, not recorded, written and composed in the sessions was used by FX for the album Four Walls. The song When I'm Alone. So it's like it very much literally is 2016 K-pop, or 2015 actually, because that album, that's when it came out. But yeah, musically it's really fun to listen to. I think it has a lot of strength, especially I think when it becomes its own thing that isn't that weird thing that became a viral hit. It's just its own really cool passion project based around 80s synth-pop sounds, which is fantastic and thoroughly enjoyable. And yeah, this is I'm glad to have experienced this. But yeah, the last word goes to Becky. Becky, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Well, when I went into it, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I just knew that a lot of people that I knew really enjoyed it, and so I gave it a shot. And I've 1,000% enjoyed my time listening to this album. I've listened to it so many times over the course of the last year. And honestly, not even just this album, but pop music in general has been like the thing that has kept me going in 2017. It's okay to, be a music snob or whatever. But if pop music can do what this does for me, then I have no problems with pop music whatsoever. And, yeah, Carly Rae Jepsen needs to put out another album.
And I have no problems with pop music. I can show you my shelf of Korean the K-pop CDs.
And on that note, she said early 2018. So
isn't she like doing musicals or something? Like
she does that sometimes.
That's what she was doing between Call Me Maybe and this. Like that's
also apparently before she recorded this, she also recorded a whole folk record that never got released. Because that's her roots.
Wait, the fuck?
Her first album's a folk record.
Is there yodeling?
I don't know. It's Canadian.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
There's a certain possibility.
It's Canadian.
I don't know.
I was gonna say,
I don't know if
60-40
it's full on
chance, yeah.
Hocus Pocus by the band Focus, which is a great song, and also how can we talk about band names and song names and yodeling without mentioning Focus?
But she's on the other side of the side that I don't go to, and all I think of is that's where Alanis Morissette and yodeling occurs.
Yes.
From anecdotal evidence.
from purely anecdotal circumstantial evidence, which is good enough for us. It's good enough for me, at least. Yeah. We talk about all right. So those are our thoughts. Those are thoughts in full on Carly Rae Jepsen. Now we get to the main event of the evening. We get to our haiku reviews. The fun part, the bit that we can't let go of, because why? Why let go of a beautiful bit? But yeah, let's talk about some haiku reviews. Brett, what is your haiku?
Solid pop album. Made by that gal from BC. Better than Hulk Rules. You can take that to the bank.
Hold on.
It's high praise.
Let's
I
not
think
go
there are
too-
bowel movements that are better than Hulk rules.
Hold on.
Hey, I mean, just because Hulk Hogan is a horrible human being does not mean that his music is equally as terrible. It's not. It's also terrible.
It's not even Jimmy
but-
Hart's best work.
No, it's nobody's best work. But I just want to talk about Hulk Rules on every episode we do, and I did not have a place to stick it in anywhere else.
Yes,
Come on.
exactly. But
It's
yeah.
like you got to find Waldo, then you got to find Wizard Whitebeard. Like
Yeah.
Hulk Rules is the Wizard Whitebeard of this Where's Waldo book.
We haven't
Drew.
talked about Glassjaw yet.
Yeah. What is your haiku, Drew?
I'm so sorry, but I can't sit here and say that I did not dance.
Were you shaking your booty, Drew? Were you shaking your booty?
Hell yeah.
Were you cutting a rug?
Yeah, we'll do the dancing. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Guilty as pleasure. Pop music done perfectly. Can't wait for what's next.
I have my haiku. A fun pop album, especially when they let it be its own thing. Becky, finally,
Yes.
last word. What is your haiku?
Cuts to the feelings, keeps me moving, lifts me up, and that's all I need.
Yeah. So, those are our thoughts on Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion. You can, of course, find us on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. You listen along at home. Do the things, do your homework. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's record. If Drew thought he was dating the record with his earlier comment, I'll go ahead and date it now. This is kind of a reactionary pick, but this is by the time you hear this is going to be long since happened. But this is kind of a reaction to unfortunate circumstances that happened this past weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Jonghyun of SHINee and his album She Is. Kind of celebrate what he was as an artist and as a singer and as a talent. So, of course, you can find us all over the internet. Becky, what do you got going on in your world and on the internet?
I'm just on Twitter. I'm at Giggleloop. You can find me there. That's it.
Yes, and you can of course find us all over the internet. Patrick is at Swagger, Brett is at Hibbity Brett, HIBBITYB, Drew is at XJuicerForX, I'm at P Rave, the show is at 4 Record Breakers, that's the number 4 Record Breakers, recordbreakerspodcast.com, recordbreakerspodcast@gmail.com, Relic.net for listening to the shows, Relic TV. Until next time, love you guys.